Hi, this is Steve, and I'm here with my hop garden part 2. In part 1, we saw the hop garden up to the 4th of July. The Hallertau hops had grown to the top of the twine and farther. The Cascade hops were growing half as high and more slowly. I've been steadily watering the hops through July and August, where we've had over 25 days with temperatures above 90 degrees. I set the irrigation to drip for 20 minutes in the morning, which provided enough water to the soil to survive the hottest days. Let's see how things are doing on the other side of the hop trellis. Here on the Cascade side, the vine is still not as tall as the Hallertau, but the cones seem to be growing more densely. It's also apparent that the Cascades are growing much longer than the Hallertau. Here the leaves are curling up and the flower scales are starting to become papery. This is the telltale sign that the hops are ready to pick. Here's a clip for those of you who liked Elmer. We found that there were actually 2 rabbits. Yes, 2. So we named the second one Bun Bun. They seem to be enjoying the yard and they're still leaving the vegetables alone. To prepare for the Hallertau harvest, I slowly lowered the carriage of the trellis so it wouldn't bind on the pole. I'm now able to cut away the twine from the arms of the carriage at a comfortable height, as well as those at the bottom. Now that the vine is free, I can raise the carriage back to the top so that the Cascade hops can finish their growth. My wife Jen took some time to pluck each cone from the vine and toss it in the colander. We picked about 3 ounces of wet hops. We're zooming in on a Hallertau hop flower. Under each scale you can see the yellow grains, which are the lupulin. This gives hops its bitterness and its preservative ability. You can easily sense its pungent aroma. Now these hops are ready to be dried and then put into a batch of beer. We took all of the leftover vines and cut them up and put them into the compost pile. Jen also took some of the smaller suckers that came from the vine and added them to some of our hydrangea flowers and made a great table centerpiece. I brought the hops inside and set up the Oast. My Oast is a square box fan with the hops placed between 2 cheap air filters held together with a bungee cord. The fan is left on the floor on low speed in a dry area of the house. After a day of drying, I ended up with 1.5 ounces of hop. Let's brew a fresh hopped ale with all of the hops I've grown. A brown ale should pair well with all of the fresh hops. My brown ale is based on Abita's Turbo Dog. Abita is located in Abita Springs, Louisiana. After mashing the grist, the wort is boiled for 90 minutes. This will increase the caramelization of the wort. After a few minutes into the boil, I broke up the Hallertau hops into smaller pieces by hand and then added 1 ounce of the hops 30 minutes into the boil. After another 45 minutes, I added the remaining ½ ounce of hops. After the boil, the wort was cooled, the yeast was added, and fermentation began. With the fresh hopped ale in the fermenter, I harvested the Cascades, and as you can see here, a few of these hops are a whopping 2 3/8 inches in length. After drying, I added them to the secondary fermenter on August 30th. And then added the rest of the Cascades in a post-fermentation process 2 weeks later. A couple of weeks later, I cleaned up the trellis. I took apart the carriage because the cedar had cracked around the carriage and the bird poop had begun to cake up on the pipe arms. I'll replace the cedar with some signboard material and sand down and repaint all the arms over the winter. The trellis looks lonely at the top, but the hops are hardy and continue to grow at the bottom. I'll cut these back before the snow falls and cover them over to protect them from the snow and ice in November. That's it from the hop garden for 2010. The small 3-gallon batch of fresh hop ale has been bottled. Its citrusy aroma and grapefruity, spicy flavor is provided by the fresh Cascade hops. There's a snippet of caramel flavor from the malt, and mild carbonation gives the beer the proper zing, all followed with a little bitterness imparted from the noble Hallertau hops. I think I may add another hop rhizome next spring. I'm not sure whether to go with another noble hop, American, or maybe an English hop. We'll see, and I'll let you know next spring in my hop garden, the 2011 edition. This is Steve saying, happy hop farming.